Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have another botanical themed trifold mini journal to share with you today. This is a reserve order, so I'm sorry she won't be listed in my Etsy shop, but I just thought you might like to have another look at how I've done this one. I've decided this time not to use sari silk, but to use this lovely scalloped edged vintage lace, and there's a good quantity of this bubbly lace wrapped round in case you want to tuck it in or tie it in a bow, whatever you prefer to do. The mini journal is the same size as all the others that I've shown, 4 inches by 5 inches, stitched all the way around. There's not a lot of inking on the edges of this particular journal, as I wanted to keep her nice and soft and delicate, but the cover is the usual collaging with a mixture of Chinese paper, Pitman paper, French ledger paper. There's some English French vocabulary paper. That's some contemporary book page. This is an image of a marsh marigold. There's also some German paper and music paper, and then this vintage signature here that you can see. More images of marsh marigolds, and then going inside. I've left the stamp on this little scrap of vintage paper there, which I thought was quite nice, and another image of a marsh marigold. So going inside her, that is the inside cover. So collage here, there's a collage on each of the pockets, and the first page, as on all the other pages, I've stitched around the edges. I've left this book page fairly plain. I just thought it was a lovely image. This is like a soft pastel green background, which I thought was quite lovely, and I've done one of the little layered snippets with a vintage button, mother of pearl of course, just on the corner. All the paper clips inside are the usual curled paper clips. Some I've decorated, some I haven't. This is a Botanical book page tag with a vintage stamp and a cigarette card inside, and a little bit of lace trim to match the lace wrapped around the cover of the journal. A little bit of edge collaging here on this vintage receipt. Going over the page here, I've put a library card in the pocket, and this is some Botanical paper laid over the top of some Chinese book page. Another cigarette card here, and here we have decorated paper clip, vellum envelope with a little bit of collaging on it, and inside some French flashcards. And then this was a little I don't know what these are, numeral tickets, boards. I think it might have been a game piece, but it was a little bit worn at the top. If I turn it over, you can just see a little bit of sign of wear up in this top bit. So I've just put a little bit of lace on the top. I like the way how this obviously was 1/11 and somebody has put a slash between to make it an 11th, and then handwritten in the 3/4 in ink. And it kind of reminded me of youngsters when you talk to them and ask them what their age is, and they say I'm 6 3/4 or I'm 9 1/2. It just amused me when I saw that. So that goes in that little pocket there, and it clips on the page when I can get it to clip on. There we go. Vintage receipt with a little bit of collaging, lace collaging at the top, a little bit of layering here and here, more here with a bit of stitching, some washi, some onion paper, a vintage stamp. Here I've done a little flip out which is magnetised, and there's a little bit of stamping inside. This is a piece of vellum that I've stitched on, and I've put some vintage receipt pages behind, and the last one is collaged, of course, you know me in collaging, and then behind there's a date, 25th of April 1929, which has come off a vintage letter. Corner tuck spot here with an eyelet going through to the next page, and here's a botanical page tag with some layered lace and some more lace at the top and some lace going through the eyelet, and then on the back a computer card goes in the side pocket, and I've used a little bit of vintage ledger paper just to coordinate the collaging there with this tuck pocket here, or side tuck or corner tuck, whatever you want to call it here, just to tie the two in together. Here I've put some lovely leaf botanical image down the side of the page. Here's my lace ruffle with my safety pin with some seed beads on. More book page here, but with a die cut. When you open it up, there's a sticker on the other side, and when you open it up again, this is obviously, as you can see, is a vellum page, and I've made a tag and backed it with some lovely green botanical paper to tie it in with the other side there. Going over the page, some more collaging. This image I just took over to the other side and stitched it down, so it's actually stitched down that edge. So as I say, some collaging here, and then it just flips open. A bit of a vintage letter here. This is a specimen tag of a rose petal between some acetate with some lace at the top and stitched all the way around. And that just sits inside there. This is a leaf I fussy cut with a couple of homemade playing cards just tucked behind it, making it a nice little corner tuck spot on this blank ledger paper. This is more collaging with a corner tuck spot, and this is the tag. I just tend to keep the tags fairly simple in this these little trifolds, because they're quite bulky by the time I finish with them. Collaging here. This is a little vellum pocket that's been doubled over, so we have a little journaling card there with a little bit of vintage carbon paper on the back. So that goes in that pocket. Just some collaging with some lace, eyelash trim, sari silk, a couple of little flash cards go in the front pocket, and a tiny little book plate, botanical page tag. Photograph film. I like this image, and I really didn't want to do anything with it. I just love the image so much. I wanted to pick out the hint of purple. That's why I popped that tag in there. And I wanted to pick out the green. Again, it's another pale green background, so I just put one of these long tickets in so that you can use it as a journaling spot if you wish. Here we have a flip out with, I think you can see that, this is a tiny, tiny little leaf that I've put behind some tracing paper and sandwiched it in. There's a sticker here and some rough edged pale green paper, just a couple of sheets to tie in with the green on the other side. This isn't magnetised, but it just stays closed nicely on its own. Here is some note paper, lined note paper. This is a journaling card made out of the Observer Botanical pages. We've all seen these Observer books of British plants or wildflowers. And then I've just done a bit of fussy cutting on the inside there, just for interest. This one has been inked and stitched all the way around. If I hold it up, you probably can pick it up. There we go. and that just wraps round my page like so. A tag here which is the same image as here, but this one is a ghosted image, and this is the original book page image of the same plant, tea-dyed paper on the back. The background paper on this page is a double layer of piano paper, as you can see here. Ready Reckoner page here that I've collaged on, put a tea card behind or inside a little vellum pocket that's been stitched to the page, a little bit of lace down there. Going over the page, this is the central signature 5-hole pamphlet stitch. This is just a pocket, and it flips open like so, with a journaling spot there on some tea stained paper. The edge here along the bottom is pretty organic. This paper, this Ready Reckoner paper, is so delicate. It doesn't always take the stitching. It has on this side but not on this side, and it acted to perforate the page, but I quite like that, so I've left it. Here I've just put some Botanical book page on the page and stitched it down the side. Here is one of those little flip outs that I do for a bigger journaling spot, and again I've used the vintage receipt paper, little bit of lace. This is just a sticker on piano paper. This is a flip out music paper here with some tea stained paper which I've stitched on and inked around the edges, and then again observer book page. And inside, this is a big pocket, and inside, if I can just get my fingers around it, there we go, is one of those French vintage sheets of ledger paper. I'm not going to open it out, but as I've said on previous ones, they are fairly big. No writing on this one, it's just a blank sheet, but it is 13 inches by 10 inches, so they're big sheets. That just tucks in there. Journaling spot here, a little bit of layering with some botanical plant names. Vintage stamp up at the top here, more plant names here. Same over the page. Protective photo paper. Another journaling spot on coffee stained paper and stitched around. And that just clips to the page with another one of these curly paper clips with a little bit of lace. Over the page, whoops, that's just come loose. Here we have ledger paper with collaging and stamp, and this is a little notebook, vellum cover, a little bit of lace at the top, and some pages, and it just attaches at the top here with 3 magnets. So that's the back, and it matches the page that's been stuck to, and all the pages inside are the same. Came from an old diary, so that just sticks at the top there with the magnets. Over the page we have a floating pocket with a tag inside, topped with some lace, and this page is some vellum. Sorry, it just opens out like that, and I've backed it here with some tea stain paper, so you've got more journaling space. Let's clip that back on. Why is it as soon as you turn the camera on you become all fingers and thumbs? Well, I certainly do. Here we have one of my little floating pockets with a little dangle. Somebody asked me where these little dangles came from. They came off a necklace that has literally hundreds of these little dangles on. So I've just slowly been taking the necklace apart and using those little dangles on all my tags and things. But they're like little sequins, kind of woven into the silver chain. A little faux tea card on the front, and then there's a tiny little bit of a carbonised letter there, which I've popped in the back. And here I've put on this painter's masking paper, I've just put a little fabric flip, and I quite like that because of the roses on it. I wanted to pick up the roses on this. And a little Tim Holtz paper clip just holding that in place. Over the page, some more collaging. This is, as you can see, a lace pocket, and there's some vellum behind the lace. Same as I've done previously, you've got the choice of going behind the vellum or going behind the lace, or putting something in both. Another one of my little collaged envelopes made out of book pages, and this was a French book with a little vintage stamp on it. And turn it round, that's the front of the envelope. Going inside, whoops, a daisy. And that's what she looks like inside. And she just goes, I choose to pop her behind the vellum because it just goes in easier and doesn't catch on the lace. Another journaling spot, observe a book page. Here I've got a side tuck spot, contemporary book page with a sticker, a little bit of lace, and there's the tag that goes in that pocket with a little bit of lace on the top, and some more of that green botanical paper for backing. Over the page I've done a piece of a vintage letter dated 1929, May 1929, and that just flips up so you have a little journaling spot underneath if you wish. And then in this pocket I've done a long thin tag. Love this image, really appeals to me. It's just very, very soft image, and I just did a little corner eyelet, and then I put some vintage paper on the back, which is some military, it's instructions for military music, and this is an instruction for a bugler. So it says 1 long blast, 3 short for the signallers, 3 short blasts for the left markers, and 2 short blasts for advance. Excuse me. So I just thought that was quite interesting. Here is a lovely, lovely image that I found. I think it's gorgeous. I have no idea where I found it. It's been in my stash for a while. Put a little bit of vintage book page on there, or vintage letter, and then all I've done is I've stitched round this, and it just flips up like that, so you have a journaling spot here if you wish. But I just quite like that idea. I didn't want to do anything to detract from that image. I liked it so much. Here we have Edith Holden tuck spot there, and as you can see there's a corner tuck spot here with this little journaling card, and that goes up in that pocket. Over the page, that paper clip was holding this little tag in place, and again back with some computer card. I have very, very very challenging for me left a few odd little threads and tails loose. I usually have an overwhelming desire to chop those, but I've actually managed to leave 1 or 2 in this journal. Love this page, so I just wanted to just stitch round it and leave it plain, other than have the tag on the other side marry up with it. But as you can see in the top corner, that's the back of a little press stud. So when you go over the page, there is one of my little press stud flowers there at the end of this long stem of bindweed leaves, actually. The back pocket has one of these observer book tags with an eyelet lace stitched round, and that's the image and collaging in the back pocket. And here there is another journaling card. This is pastel peachy colours, and again tea stain paper on the back and stitched, and that's the image in the back pocket. And the sticker here matches up with the journaling card there. So that's this little mini trifold journal. I hope you liked it. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with me as I share yet another one of these little mini trifolds. They seem never ending, actually, but I did promise I would make 14 of them, and I'm gradually working my way through the group of these that or the covers and the signatures that I prepped but didn't decorate. So I'm gradually getting there. Obviously, one or two people have asked me to reserve them for them, so that's why they're not going into the Etsy shop. They are being treated as reserved orders, and going out to those lovely ladies that have reserved them. So thank you, everybody, for bearing with me, allowing me to share this one with you. Thank you to the ladies that have supported me with such kind comments, and the ladies that have bought my journals. As I say, I hope I'm not boring you with these. I still have a few more to do, but once they are done, then I will be going back to doing my usual one-offs. So thank you so much, everybody. Take care. I hope you're all well and happy and getting ready for Christmas. It's not getting too overwhelming for you. It's a joyous season. I love it very much. I'm a December baby, so I have a birthday and Christmas coming up, and it's my favourite time of the year. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you all. Take care, everybody. Bye bye for now.